So the media is still falling all over itself to defend John Brennan after Trump revoked his security clearance. But watch what happened on MSNBC when that bubble bursts live on air. So somebody's going to challenge that notion here that John Brennan is some sort of victim, and what the result is hilarious.
In the beginning, this looked like something petty and vindictive. It now has taken on a much more sinister feel to it. Now, the president, we don't even have to guess, right? The president has basically said it was about the Russia investigation. This was the new Lester Holt moment. Now that he's said this, tell me how this all unfolds. The president, having with his opponents, has now decided to just use brute force.
Sure. Well, look, I mean, the John Brennan revocation, I think some of this is a little overwrought. The idea that it's stifling free speech is kind of absurd. John Brennan is going on this network within an hour and is going to speak freely about what he has to say about the president. He certainly hasn't held back. And one should look at some of his tweets, which I think, are the views are probably shared by most of your listeners, but the fact is he is a former CIA director, and when he says the president is a demagogue who will end up on the dustbin of history, when he says that the president engaged in collusion when he had testified before Congress that he was not aware if there was actual collusion. I mean, there are a lot of questions that people have within the intelligence community about a lot of what John Brennan has been saying.
Michael, he didn't use any of his classified information. He didn't abuse any of it. There are 13 reasons why you can remove somebody's clearance. Right. He hasn't committed any of them, and there's no process, Michael. I mean, that's just that's a weird argument. You don't like. It's not a weird argument. Says, that's cool. It's cool not to like it.
It's not a weird argument.
No, but
it is much more serious.
Michael, hold on, Michael. There are 13 reasons that you can take somebody's clearance away.
Sure.
There are no breaches of those by.
My only point is, I don't disagree with that at all. My only point is, John Brennan is not going to suffer because his security clearance has been revoked.
I don't think any of us care if he is. Is the nation going to suffer because of it?
Is the nation going to suffer because of it? Donald Trump is making people lose their minds. All critical thinking ability just goes out the window. So now, and for the record here, I like Ali Velshi. That's who is pushing Michael Isikoff there. Because there are so many issues where he's like the only voice of sanity in mainstream news. I've seen him do some fact checks on the economy that I thought were wonderful. He actually advocates for a Medicare for all system. He's from Canada, so I think that, paints his belief system on that. But I mean, this is like, if it wasn't so sad, it would just be sheer comedy to me. Because now you have the hashtag resistance basically aligning with the CIA and acting like the CIA is awesome to own Trump. And it's like, God, you guys are so silly. It's just because Trump does something against, somebody from the deep state, that doesn't necessarily mean that those people are good people, especially because, now they lash out back at Trump because they're mad about it. It's like, hero, standing up to Trump. The thing about John Brennan, guys, he was called the principal coordinator of the kill list. He was one of the main players when it came to the kill list. He took part in the fucking torture program. Not only should he not have clearance, he should be in prison. Because I actually am of the belief system that the law applies and that justice should be blind. So this guy, I don't give a fuck that he was a top intelligence official. He broke the law, so he should be in prison. And I feel like when people don't acknowledge that, on some level, they're buying into this argument that, when we do it, it's okay. Like, when we violate law, it's okay. Like, the CIA, okay, but they meant well because there are, intelligence agencies, so therefore, we give them a pass. No, we don't give them a pass. We don't give them a pass at all. At all. So fuck his security clearance. He should be in prison. So I'm not going to sit here and argue for him to still have his fucking security clearance. What are you, crazy? But that's people are losing their fucking minds. Now, let me be clear about something. I don't think that Those are my issues with John Brennan. Are those Trump's issues with John Brennan? No. Yes, Trump got rid of his security clearance because this guy was critical of Trump. That's what that is. Now, people are going, oh, that's authoritarian. I mean, yes, Trump has an authoritarian impulse without a doubt, but you're really picking a horrible example to try to prove your case of authoritarianism. I mean, Donald Trump signed a pro-torture executive order the day he gave his address to Congress the last time. But nobody even spoke about, oh, you just signed a pro-torture executive order. That's fucking crazy. Oh, you're refusing to shut down Guantanamo Bay. That's fucking crazy. Oh, you increased drone strikes 437%. That's fucking crazy. Nobody's saying that. Their example of Trump's authoritarianism is taking away a former CIA guy's security clearance. A guy who should be in prison. That's not a good example of authoritarianism. Donald Trump is an authoritarian, and I think it's very clear, and you could point out so many examples of it, like I just did. But instead of going after him on the substance, what do? It's like, I always make this point, man. Corporate media, they default to the worst possible anti-Trump arguments, which is why they're now like taking Omarosa's word as gospel. Omarosa said that Donald Trump was caught eating paper in the White House. Do I believe that? No. That doesn't mean I like Donald Trump. I despise Donald Trump. But it's a preposterous thing to say, and it would require some fucking evidence. And of course there's no evidence presented. Omarosa is now saying that Donald Trump wanted to start a race war. Okay, do I think Donald Trump is a bigot? Yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence of that. Do I think he wants to start a fucking race war? Oh, please. Oh, please. Oh, please. Just because somebody makes noises with their mouth against Trump does not mean that they are immediately good people or legitimate people. Fuck John Brennan. Fuck him. I would revoke his security clearance once, I'd revoke it twice, I'd revoke it 3 times, and I'd put him on trial, and he should be in a fucking prison cell.